There's a fine line between early access and a broken game. In definition, early access is described as a funding model in a video game industry by which consumers can purchase and play a game in various pre-release development cycles. Those that pay to participate typically help to debug the game, provide feedback and suggestions, and may have special access to materials within a game. Now, that is normal for the gaming industry to have, but what is becoming normal that shouldn't be is developers using early access as an excuse to make a game indefinitely with early access slapped across the title to not get slandered or really feel the full consequences of a buggy mess that is their game. A great example of this is Fortnite. Now, obviously, since Chapter 1 Season 1, it makes sense that it would be considered an early access title because it's brand new on the spot, there's some bugs here and there, and there's a bunch of new ideas coming out. It makes sense. But it started on September 26, 2017. But they officially made the game into a full release on June 29th, 2020. That's 3 years later. To break it down to seasons, from Chapter 1 Season 1 to Chapter 2 Season 2, they have non-stop made that game an early access title, even with microtransactions, even with all the updates that they had, even with all the events that are going on, the game still was early access. Now, 3 years is a long time. That is a very long time for a game to be in early access. But wouldn't it be considered a live service game that's fully completed, rather than an early access game with how much they've really done to it? Like, seriously, I get having 3 years of development to fully see the game realized and polished, quote unquote, but it was also polished during the era of Chapter 1 Season 3 and 4 and 5. They even had events, cosmetics, lots of polished gameplay, and everything about it was good to go, but it still had that early access title stuck to it. Is it an excuse to have that title on a game so they wouldn't have issues from players? Are we okay as players to have that mindset of, oh, it's early access, it'll get fixed, when a game like that is so polished to consider it still early access? Another example of this would be in Bone Labs, a game basically Gmod but in VR, and it has huge potential, by the way, very big potential for it to become one of the best VR titles out there, but it lacks polish and content for it to become that. Considering Boneworks has more content to it and polish in comparison to Bone Labs, wouldn't we consider Bone Labs to be more of an early access title? I mean, the developers even stated that they're working on the engine still so they can refine it and make sure that the engine can be used by players and modders easily. But since the engine is still being worked on, we should basically consider it to be in early access, no? But what is a game that actually can have both worlds of early access being okay, but having enough content and quote-unquote polish to it to be considered okay to have that early access title? Well, look no further than BattleBit. BattleBit has a solid foundation. Yes, there are some bugs and a bit of tomfoolery with some bugs, but it works. See, when you get to look at Bone Lab, you see that it works and it can do a lot of things, but is it complete? No. The amount of content for the single player and slash mini games in the game make it seem like a tech demo more than anything else. And seeing how Fortnite came to be with a great amount of content and a great foundation for what the game is about, you wouldn't have the early access title on there because it's all good, right? Now, there obviously is awesome content that they added in there. For example, they added in new maps, weapons, a whole nother vehicle, but now it's getting to a point where it's becoming very similar to Fortnite in that polished state, but it still has that early access stick to it. And I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing. These games that are coming out with that vicious title near it is making it hard to find what's considered okay for a game to be in early access. For me, it would be okay for a game that has a solid foundation with gameplay mechanics that work for the most part, with the occasional bugs here and there that come in. I'm okay with early access to be on there. But if it takes you 3 years to build a game with early access on it still, but the game has a lot of polish behind it and a lot of content and even microtransactions behind it, you might as well call it a crappy live service game at that point. But I really want to know what your thoughts are. What do you think is okay for a game to be in early access? and when is it not okay for a game to be in early access. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I thought I'd try something a little bit different, a little bit new. I'm still talking about video games, I'm still talking about that stuff, but I thought I'd kind of stray away from the normal comedy slash review slash gameplay of the games I play, because I don't really have that much time on my hands right now. I'm very busy. I have a job that's really taxing right now on my body and on my mind. I'm trying to hang out with family members. I'm trying to still unpack everything from my household because I still haven't unpacked everything. But it is a little bit of a different video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to see more, click that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel. Be much appreciated. Anyways, I'll check you guys all later. Deuces. Take care, everyone.